The mission that I set off on when I was 17, 18, heading off to SEAL training has definitely evolved over the years. I was chasing war. Tattooed on my chest, it says, "Don't just live, but live for a purpose bigger than yourself. Be an asset to your family, your community, and country." I thought that success was determined by how much pain you could withstand, how much you could take. I was more willing to chase war than fight the one I would inevitably face inside. I used to just flip a switch in my mind and just find that red line. It was just raw power. As I got 7, 8, 9, 10 years into living that way, my nervous system started to kind of max out. My life truly began when I failed out of SEAL training with a paralyzed leg. At a certain point, I got down on my knees and prayed. It was an opportunity to evolve in other aspects of my life. I never really fed the creativity and my more empathetic nature. In the ancient teachings in Tibet, the word warrior means one who is brave. It's not about your capacity to fight. It's your willingness to remain grounded and open, sensitive to the world around you, and still show up fully for others. And to me, that's bravery.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Opinionated Off-Topic. Today, I'm with Evan Duvall, local Austinite, someone in the space just like me, creative, doing it uniquely. Anno Agency. I mean, met him probably like last year. Met up, linked up. We'd been following each other for a while. Funny story. Matt Worthington, shout out Matt, Best Day Ever Foundation, my boy. He had put me and Evan in a group chat like 2 or 3 years ago about when he was hosting these dinners. Hey, Cam, can you go grab Evan? I know y'all both live up north. I'm like, I'm coming from Westlake area at the time. I was working, and I was going through some messages, and I was like, bro, because I had your number saved. I was like, bro, this is that Evan that
That's
I met?
wild.
And I was like, that's crazy. Like, we almost met 3 years ago.
Yeah,
but then we ended up
forgot about
meeting
that.
later on, like, our own accord, like, not even knowing that story. So I thought that was interesting. But
Yeah,
bro. Thankful for the opportunity, bro. I'm excited to interview you today and just chop it up, really, because I know, like, we have a actually like established relationship outside of like this being our first sit down. But yeah, bro, I'm excited to hear what you guys are doing. I know you guys are doing some unique stuff. I mean, even for me, the magazine release party, like, just going through the magazine, the quality that's in there, the writing, the actual thought that was put into that, you're not really seeing that type of content these days. So yeah, man, just give us a little backstory about yourself and kind of what brought you to where you're at now.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, for giving me the opportunity to sit here on the other side of the table today, both being in production and storytelling. It's always cool to have the opportunity to be on the other side of a production, and kind of like, I'm always so focused on what's coming next that opportunities like this are always nice to like take a look back and reflect and, think about, all the things, all the pieces that fell into place to get where we are. Right. I mean, background, grew up outside Austin, Hill Country, Dripping Springs, Texas kid, typical, Central Texas upbringing, sports, coming to Austin all the time as a kid. It really helped me like open my mind and, just kind of, be open-minded, about different types of people. Austin was, I would say, more weird back then. My parents didn't really shy me away from anything. Like, I was raised in the live music scene and running around Barton Springs and Zilker, and those were just like really core memories. And then I ended up graduating from Dripping Springs and joining the Navy. I ended up serving for 6.5 years, got out in 2020, came back to Austin. Initially I was personal training, coaching, and yeah, I think that's where my journey like really started, was that transition coming out of the military, having that opportunity to really start to explore like who I was, right? And at 25, I think I started to realize just like how creative I was, and I'd never really been in an environment where creativity could be like the forefront of everything I did. It was just always something that I like put into a journal or did in my off time, you know. But, you know, going from sports to the military to coaching and training, you know, creativity wasn't, you know, the sole focus. So since then, since diving into the creative journey and, you know, exploring all these different mediums, I think that's now, we were talking about before the podcast started, it's just like the deeper that you dive in, the more things open up, and it just the more that comes in to the realm of possibility. And I feel like I'm just getting started as an artist and allowing myself to explore more.
Yeah. No, it's been crazy to see like just like kind of how everyone finds themselves in a different phase in their life, right? Like, you know, going from sports to the Navy to, you know, kind of figuring out what that next like life transition phase is like. Like, I always think that's interesting to see where it leads people, because I mean, same boat, you know, sports my whole life, and then, you know, working in corporate, still working in corporate, trying to figure out a way to do this other thing that's been kind of calling me, you know? So yeah, man, I'm excited to hear all about all that and go more in depth. But I guess from there, like, I know in the past, me and you have talked, I think one of the first things you said that you did start was you had started a interview podcast, live podcast yourself. Like, kind of talk to me about what made you want to start doing that.
Yeah, so I mean, this was 2020 when I got back to Austin. Austin was just in a really unique state, I would say. Like, I mean, the whole world was at that time, right? There was a lot of isolation. There was a lot of people at the time when I was planning to release this podcast, and then decided that I wanted to make it like a live interview series. It was really just perfect timing, because I think people came out of the pandemic with newfound awareness of like what sorts of social experiences they were craving. Like, they wanted depth, but they also had done enough work personally during the pandemic to where they really started to value their own energy, right? And that we weren't just going to all step back into the world and, you know, like, the same surface level interactions weren't going to cut it. Like, and that was like really prominent, like 2021. And I was feeling and sensing the same thing. And that's why I started the podcast series. Was I was like, you know, I don't think the types of events that I want to go to really exist. And so I want to create them. And live interviewing for me taught me a lot about building experiences. It taught me a lot about hospitality. Naturally, like, I'm very empathetic. Like, I can feel a room. I can feel people's energy, you know, and live interviewing allowed me to really kind of tap into that and explore that. And so once I started building events and experiences, you know, everything from the way that we would light the space and the music we would play to the types of conversations we wanted to have. And then, you know, the ability for people to open it up and hang out for a drink after, you know, they had watched us have a conversation and open up and be vulnerable for 45 minutes. The second we'd set those mics down and stand up and it was a party, like, everybody would just swarm to each other. And like, all these, you know, real relationships started forming. And 2021, 2022, like, I was doing this weekly, man, you know, like, we were we were pitching a business on Monday, getting a yes by Tuesday, coming in, building out the event every Thursday. That ended up transitioning into a residency here on the east side. And we ran that like weekly content series for like 8 or 9 months, I think. And that was like really the beginning. So yeah, I really fell in love with interviewing. I call it like the podcast for me was field research, man. It was like, okay, where do I fit in this scene? All right, I'm going to sit down with as many people as I can that inspire me, and I'm going to listen more and try to figure out where I fit in, right? And I did 50 episodes before I was like, all right, like I kind of see where I could help, you know, and then started doing more events, started doing some consulting work, just trying to wear as many hats as I could. And then ultimately writing has always been the thing that I wanted to do the most. And it wasn't until I started like really consuming and looking for print and magazines to kind of like for my own inspiration and creativity.
Yeah.
That I started to kind of explore the idea of possibly doing a magazine or some sort of zine. And, you know, once I, you know, had some friends that encouraged me to do it and pulled the trigger. And 3 months later, we had our first volume, and we did the design process and most of the writing in about 35 days. Like we were under the gun for that release party. Yeah. But once I saw it and felt it and saw what it was, like I knew that I had found the right medium for me where I could take all that podcast experience and that the eye for culture that I've developed and then put it in something it's physical, it's real, it's tangible. You know, I don't have to be on a device. I don't have to be on my phone. And I feel like people can take a break and just like decompress a bit.
Yeah, I think that's super important, you know, because, right, the area in the age of media we're in is everything is so, like, you're not posting online, social media, like, you're kind of behind, but it's so oversaturated. There's a lot of, like, content that you watch in 30 seconds, a minute, you don't really consume. Something like this, you know, you actually had to meet these people, sit down with them, maybe have the interview with them, take some notes on them, and then actually put it into something that, you know, people can consume and actually enjoy. And it's just more so that I think when people read that, and especially the stories in there, they're like, okay, like there's actually like been some thought, there's some effort put into this. It's not just a, hey, like, let me get a quick little sound bit or whatever, and then I'm gonna pitch you in this story or magazine. And it's cool that you have the physical copy and things like that, because I know you guys have a Substack, and I've seen that's been doing really well for you guys. Like, what has been some of the, I guess, things you've learned, like having like that digital magazine as well, trying to put out this physical copy that you guys did as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of like 50-50 on the digital, you know, Substack route. You know, like it's fine, it's cool, but it just, like the magazine I wrote on a 1960s typewriter. You know, we scanned those pages in.
Yeah.
You know, I did it all analog. And then I think that work just, it lands differently. You know, people are so inundated with emails and the digital presence and, you know, the being marketed to and sold, and your attention is like, you know, the ultimate commodity these days, you know. And it's, if we're going to compete in that landscape, you know, you wonder what state of mind people are when they cross whatever it is that you're putting out there, right? And I think, you know, people are experiencing more noise than ever, right? The difference for me is when I hold print, when I read a magazine, like I always say that if I'm on my phone or doom scrolling, like on social media, I kind of feel like a tightness in my chest, right? Like it's a little anxious, and I don't feel like I'm quite like breathing deeply unless I really focus on it. but I'm just kind of in this like state of like tension. When I read a magazine, it feels like an exhale, you know, like it's so relaxing. I have, you know, space to really dive into different topics, subjects, interpret them, process them, set it down. You know, I can read a story, I can learn, or I could just look at textures. I could look at photos. You open this magazine, you can smell the ink, you know, like it's a whole experience, you know, like you can feel the page. And I think that was the difference for me, is once I started visiting, you know, pop-up shops and, you know, magazine shops and stores and stuff, like I saw the demographic of people that were frequenting these places, and they were all like super dope creatives, you know, or just, you know, people that are more conscious of what they're consuming. So, you know, social media is incredible, man. It's connected me to all sorts of people. Yeah. It gives me real reach. Yeah. Like we've got people in this magazine that live in New York and San Francisco and Chicago, and we're able to tap in and follow their work and support their work, you know, even though we've only met in person one time, but we're able to stay in touch, right? Yeah. So I'm not discounting social media at all. Yeah. What I'm trying to be more cognizant of is the state of mind in which we create from, and then how that translates to the consumer, right? And if you're going to build a platform, I've built several brands, I've built several platforms. I mean, I had a pretty successful platform as a personal trainer and coach. I deleted it, you know? Yeah. Like it wasn't for me. And when I started transitioning into culture and art, like I was naturally drawing a lot of my clients and gym, you know, you know,
some overlap.
The fitness audience, which is fine. Like I love opening people's minds to new things, but something in the back of my mind was like, yo, like this isn't the community that I'm trying to build with my work. And I didn't know what that work was at that time. Now I do. And I hope that everything I put out now, like strategically, I'm able to communicate it in a way or give it a certain look that catches the right eyes. Like I often refer to the way that I want to build my business is like the scenic route. Like I want to drive like the rim of the Grand Canyon out west and not like a tollway. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to pay my way to success. Like I want to enjoy the journey. I want to enjoy the trip. I want to shoot photos along the way. I want to have fucking scrapbooks, you know, like I really want to like cherish every step of this. But now what I'm realizing with my own art, my own creativity, my photography, the videos that I make, everything we do, from spray paint to stencils to guerrilla marketing, you know, just really being present with each step. By focusing on that process, people can see how much you're putting into the work, right? I was talking with an artist the other day about documenting, right? Documenting rather than creating content, right? Like I want to archive. I want to look at the world around me and people around me and look around and be like, man, I don't know where they're going to be in 10, 20, 30 years. Like they could be, you know, something special. I want to look at everybody like that, right? I'm not here to compete with anyone. I like to assume that everybody's going to become the greatest version of themselves. And if I get to play a role in that or be a fly on the wall in their origin and see the process of them becoming something great, that's what feeds me, right? And like, I hope that, you know, Ono Magazine becomes that archive, whether it's digitally or in this physical form, where like in 10 years, 20 years, you can look back and be like, damn, like that's where that idea originated from. It's right there. You can point at it. But then also like, I watch a lot of documentaries and study a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And like, I have a lot of respect for how many artists do such a great job of like documenting their journey. They have all this footage and journals and notes. And, like to me, I think there's something about like actually valuing each step and documenting it. Like, I think it creates greatness because you're not taking anything for granted. People have a camera in the room and they're like, oh, well, yeah, we're going to do this studio session. And it's 1992 and they've got a friend that's filming. They didn't know that they were going to be one of the biggest bands.
No.
But they were making a film like they were going to be something, maybe it was just kind of passive. But then we watch it 20, 30 years later and we're like, wow, like I'm so grateful that they showed us what working in that studio with that engineer was like, or, can reference back to who really helped them, and I think we're just in a state where I think a lot of people just want to quote unquote, like make it.
Yeah.
But they're not actually like valuing each step that it takes.
Yeah. That's big too. Cause I mean, that's something we've seen since we've started, right? Like a lot of the things that you're speaking on is really why we started doing the podcast, why we started having these types of conversations, these sit downs, because there's a lot of people that are super talented. They are just maybe not known. They just started off. And even if they don't make it or whatever, we always want it to just be that voice or that platform for people to come talk about what they're doing. Feel like what they're doing can be validated. People can actually listen to it, maybe be inspired. And it's cool to see from multiple people that we've had on the podcast go from just starting out to being some of the biggest creators in the world, right? Or like we have people that have started out, have pivoted, now they're crushing it in business or whatever business lane they're doing. Or one of his clients, ZD's clients, a guy that we've had on the podcast within our network, started out doing music, is completely pivoted, and now he does F1, NASCAR, all these different automotive racings, and he's having the most success he's had in his content creation career. So like it's cool to see that and be a part of it, because even for someone like him, he can go back and watch that old episode of when he was a rapper, and then now he can go to the new episode that we just released where he's in this other lane. And I like that too, like kind of what you've been doing too. When I was seeing like kind of like the short film style that you guys were doing, I was like, okay, this is very unique. This is interesting. Like they're telling it from that person's perspective. There's not like a ton of like additional fluff or anything. It's like very raw, very real.
Yeah.
And I really love too, like the black and white, right? Like I think a lot of people are like, oh, like why stuff in black and white? Like, do they not want to edit this and that? And for me, I like that y'all are doing that, because I think it's more so the messaging behind it. It's like some things are just literally black and white. Like it's true. Like this is what it is. This is why it's this way.
Yeah.
And I think looking into it from that perspective, it's like, okay, like this is like the way they want to format things. This is the way they want to do things. And I love it. Like I haven't really seen brands that are trying to do what you're trying to do really ever, but also just like you're in your style. Like we're sitting in this office, you just showed me, a point and shoot camera you just got. Like a lot of the stuff and the way you make content, I think is very unique, especially now you got all these super nice setups, these crazy cameras. I mean, even our phones, like people are using their phones to make content. And while that's great, I do like taking it back to that type of time, right?
Yeah.
Like that type of art form. I think it's great. It's unique. And it's, I mean, even going to the writing of the magazine with the typewriter. Like I remember you were telling me at the release party, you're having to like scratch stuff out in Sharpie because you're making mistakes and like, but you wanted to keep it in there though. Because you wanted to show that it's not going to be perfect. Like any art you make is not going to be perfect. This journey is not perfect. Like you make mistakes, like we're learning, So I thought that was really cool. There was I know like too when we first met, you were doing like these experiences, the one night only experiences.
Yeah, I mean,
Are you still doing those?
first I would like to, I'd
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
expand
You
on
can go
like,
on all that though. Yeah,
yeah, I
before.
really like
Yeah,
where you're going with
yeah,
that, and we can touch on one night
yeah,
only
yeah.
later. But yeah, man, I mean, I think there's, I think that's been my journey so far, and like I think like I was producing and directing creative projects, like working with photographers and videographers, um, before I ever picked up a camera myself. And I mean, this is the same for interviewing artists, storytelling, the podcast. I always consider myself like an enthusiast and a storyteller, right? And then as I started to kind of take down those walls that I built on my around my own expression as an artist, like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have called myself an artist. Now I will fight to prove that I am, because I know how much that is worth to like take down those walls, create, produce, make shit.
Yeah.
And I don't call myself a photographer. You know, someone asked me the other day, they said, "Are you a photographer?" I said, I do photos. You know,
Yeah.
She's like, "What a odd way to put, like, so you're not a photographer?" I'm like, I don't know. It's just a medium in which I can capture a moment. I wouldn't say that I'm like a gigging photographer.
Yeah.
You know, like, do I see the world differently by having a camera on me? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Is my perception of light and space and time, am I paying attention more to the world around me? Yes. Has it made me a better person? Yes. More observant? Yes. Same with my writing, same with video, same with, anything I do now is just trying to create and generate creativity, because at this stage of life, I feel like, thankfully, like, for whatever reason, I have no shortage of creativity, which I do not take for granted a single day. Right. And the more that I can like sit down each day and create, especially from, a point of view of like, my goal isn't perfection. It's freeze frames and time, where I can look back and on my work and see it progress, see it get better. That was the purpose of leaving my typos and mistakes and not whiting out the typewriter and like using a fine tip Sharpie to like change my spelling mistakes, was one, be vulnerable with the process. Making mistakes is part of the art, right? Also, the relatability of it is that I'm not afraid to show that I make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say everything I've done since I, started this journey with the podcast, with video, with photo, with events, I've pretty much said the same thing. Is the way that I want to create is I want everyone that experiences my work in whatever form it's in, I want them to be able to see themselves in my shoes doing exactly what I do. Right? You like the magazine? You think you could create one? Cool. Go make a magazine.
Yeah.
Oh, you enjoyed the event? You've got an idea for an event? Cool. Go throw an event.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
need help? You need advice? Cool. Let's grab coffee. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gatekeeping anything. And I think if we can create from that way, like, yes, I like film because it feels relatable. I like the imperfections. I make content out of flared out images and mistakes, like I'll put typography over something where like I open the camera back before I was supposed to and it's flared out, and there's sun glare, and like I think that shit's awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't have like the same trained eye or like education as some photographers, and I admire, there's so many amazing photographers and creators out there where I'm just like blown away at the work that they do, but I'm just trying to create the shit that I create. I'm not comparing or, trying to be anything other than, present. and just be proud of like just the most insignificant kind of details in your journey. Like document that shit.
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah. But One Night Only, man, like One Night Only was an event series we started here in Austin, Texas. Really trying to evolve and kind of define what the like luxury adjacent market is going to look like in Austin, right? Just super interesting to me. Austin has always been such a casual, kind of sleepy city. I think, luxury is making its way here. With that, I really want to maintain creative and artistic presence in that scene. Like, I don't think it's designer bags.
Yeah.
I think it's like people coming here to experience like rich culture.
Yeah.
Like if you want food, you want to meet the chef, you want, private label wines, you want, to mix it up with artists that are creating in the community. Like we curate the spaces, we curate the rooms. Because I think Austin has always been like such a level playing ground, in the casual sense. It's like there will be a guy at the bar next to you with a t-shirt and dirty Vans on, and he's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
And I've always learned as a Texan to like, man, you treat everybody with respect. You shake hands, you show respect, you say yes, sir, you say no, ma'am, all that. Till someone gives you a reason to not.
Yeah.
But you start there, right?
Yeah.
It's a very level playing
100%.
ground, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Austin's obviously undergoing some changes and some identity issues. But I just want to ensure that locals and creatives have a seat at that table, and that was the intention for One Night Only and ONO, and all of it is like we say, from the street level to the penthouse view where we point our finger, that's where culture is. Like we are trying to define the cultural space just by awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that we're creating everything that's important. I'm not saying that we have the best shit, we're doing the best events. There's so many amazing people doing amazing work. We're just trying to be aware enough to where we can point our finger at it and then offer a lens and be more transparent of the work and the effort and the passion that goes into creating culture. I'm not saying we're creating all of it. There's enough people doing that.
Yeah. And all this stuff's like important. These conversations, like the stuff you're doing, the stuff that we do, the stuff that other people do, like it all is for this. Like it all kind of goes back in this same pot. Like that's kind of why like my thing is I use like the recycle emoji a lot because it's like it literally everything's like a revolving circle like of actions, actions, consequences, whatever. Like that's why I use that,
100%.
On a lot of my stuff. Appreciate it, bro. But what you said that was interesting was, kind of like the Austin space, right? Like me and you have talked off, camera about it, in passing through text, all that stuff. But, like for me and for you, I'm sure we're like, okay, great. Like we're from Austin. It's in a space now to where any idea you have, anything you want to actually execute can happen. We're also in that landscape of time, things like that can happen. But also at the same time, there is a lot of like, people that we know, people that have, came into the city that we don't know, strangers, whatever. You kind of just get online, you kind of just see like what's going on, right? What's going on in Austin, kind of what's actually captivating people here. Is it, at one point it was the cold plunge, sauna, like that kind of thing, right? And then at one point you had, I don't know, like coffee club stuff, all these different things. what I like to say is I think that there is definitely a space for the stuff we're doing, and I think the stuff that like we're doing has the longevity. It's gonna last. It's gonna be sustainable. People are gonna go back and be like, dang, like kind of ahead 2-3 years ago. Like they were actually taking the steps, because I think even now with content, because I consume a lot of content myself as a creator, and just like call myself like a YouTube kid. I'm always on YouTube, but you get on YouTube and you're starting to see, like, I mean, even the other day, like Casey Neistat is starting to vlog again. Like, this is King Vlog, like the guy who literally made it popular. Like, he's starting to vlog again. And then now you're having people online too that are actually posting like true long form videos, because like that short form's kind of starting to die. You're starting to see people want to watch movies more, TV shows, long form videos more. And I think that is also a trend within kind of what's going on in Austin. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that was popular the last couple of years is kind of starting to die out. And I think the stuff that actually has like longevity, meaning, and sustainability, and that aren't like a phase, are going to be around. And that's why I always, when I was frustrated with stuff, or when people on the team are like, man, like stuff's not going our way, I'm like, let's just keep doing it this way, because I feel like it's going to revert back to what it's always been. Because I always tell people, like, if people wanted only short form content, people would stop making movies. There wouldn't be any shows. Like, that would stop existing. So I was like, it's going to still be around. And I look at, using that example, I look at it with like the content that me and you both make, the stories we're trying to capture. Like, I think like that's super important. And also just like staying true to like what your calling is. Because I think it's very easy to see something pop off, kind of like a viral video. It's like, let's go recreate that because we know it's going to perform. Or, so for example, here you see events doing well, you see whatever doing well. It's like, why don't we replicate that because it's working, right? And then once it stops working, if that's kind of like your game plan, and you're not really doing stuff for your own interest or sustainability, then it's you're kind of just like at ground zero again. It's like you might have had a little bit of motion for 3, 4, 5 months, but what are you going to do now when you actually got to come up with something? You actually got to be known as something. So I think like all that stuff is super important, and kind of goes back to just like what you've been doing, like the curation, and also to like getting into these different lanes, right? Hosting the events, right? Like a year ago before the season, hit me up, yo, let's do this watch party. Did the watch party. One, we did it all organically.
Yeah.
There wasn't any paid promotion. We didn't run any ads. Like, and I'm not against any of that stuff. I mean, there's people in our business where we like produce ads and stuff for clients, for them to sell their product or their service. Like, not against that at all.
Yeah.
But I think for like stuff like what we did, actually promoting it via word of mouth, texting it, sending the digital flyers, posting it on our story, collab post, all that type of stuff. And then, getting there and then having the turnout that we did have, right? Like, to me, I had never thrown an event. So one, shout out to you for kind of just curating everything. But also at the same time, like, I was just very impressed that we had that many people show up for something like that.
Yeah, that was the most popping party on that street.
Yeah. And like, I know when we had got there, we look across the street and we're like, man, like,
we killed it.
There's a lot of people there. I don't know, like
everybody looked hot, and miserable and shit.
And like, by the third quarter,
spot was jumping.
It was jumping.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that I like to use that as like a testament of like, I was like, that kind of like reassured me that you can still do things a certain way.
That's all there is, man. Man, these trends, they come and go.
Yeah.
Everybody has something to say about everything.
Yeah.
There's just people talking about shit, defining shit, saying shit on social media, creating videos about the latest trends and how to do this, how to do that. It's like, bro, like, I don't pay attention to any of that. Like, I know what I enjoy. I know what I like to create. If I miss, I feel it. I take notes, I take feedback, and I'll try a new approach, Not everything you put out is going to land. And I think, like, dude, it takes time. It takes years of practicing and learning, and you're trying to keep up with something that's always evolving. Like, marketing in 2026 is insane. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Like, just start treating people like humans again.
Yeah.
Just start opening your heart, communicating,
Yeah.
you're going to find your people.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. As far as trends go, you know, like my frustrations with Austin is Austin has always been a city, like since its origin. Like, let's say the beginning of our culture was like late 60s throughout the 70s, early 80s. That was like a very definitive time in Austin. And that's where like we got like our do it yourself nature. You know, talk about organic, like people just got together and like, okay, cool, what do we want? Okay, we want live music and we want beer. You know, it doesn't even have to be cold. Like, we just want live music and beer. And 50 years later, we're still reaping the benefits of the work that generation did, right? And I think what makes us really lucky to live in a city like Austin and a state like Texas is we have real values. And I think we need to bring back that pride and that attitude and that willingness to fight for our values, right? That's what Texas was built on, was independence. It was built on pride and attitude and a willingness to bleed for our land. Yeah. And, you know, we live in such a modern world now where it's like, you know, I don't mean like actually fight, but I just bring back that chip on our shoulder where we're proud of what we have here and we want to protect it. And with that, you know, also what makes Texas great is it's very friendly. It's very welcoming. I just helped move a friend out here from San Clemente in California, and lifelong California guy and founder of a very successful company. Super rad individual. Great family. Helped him move out here. He called me. He was like, hey man, like I'm thinking about moving to Austin, Texas or Nashville. I was like, fuck Nashville. You're moving to Austin.
Oh yeah.
More specifically, you need to check out my hometown, Dripping Springs. It'd be perfect for your family. 2 months later, introduction to a realtor. Now they've got a house here, kids here. He loves it, right? And I asked him, you know, hey man, like what's your favorite thing about Austin so far? You know, he's been here probably a year and a half now. He said, man, I just am so happy that my kids get to finish school here and get brought up in a city and in a state that has real values. And, you know, I don't think they would have learned those same values in California. And, you know, I thought that was the coolest answer I had heard from anyone about why they live in Austin, from here or not.
Yeah.
Right. That was just real. And so we have to look at like, how are we educating? How are we treating people that are moving here? Because they're coming, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Not stopping.
So if we are rude, if we are defensive, if we are protective, if we are gatekeeping of the culture that we want to preserve, and we're pointing our finger and blaming and not inviting them to take part in what it is that we're so proud of, now we've got an issue, because the first step of preservation is awareness. What are we trying to protect? That takes educating people that are moving here on what makes Austin great. What makes Austin great is the welcoming nature, the friendliness, the openness. And that's harder and harder to find now, right? So now we're kind of like, we're kind of on this last line of defense where like, what is authentic to Austin has been dwarfed into these sub-communities and these spaces where it's not where it was. So then we've got this old Austin conversation of people that like have idealized the past, and they're like, oh, well, I missed this and I missed this, and it's these people's fault. Okay, well, what's the next evolution of it? What are you starting?
Yeah.
What spaces are you building? Where do you spend your money? You know, how are you advocating for the places that are left?
Yeah.
Right. If we just want to point our finger and bitch and moan, our culture is going to get pushed out, and the people that moved here will never have experienced it to begin with. right? You want to complain about the OnCloud store? Well, how many people walking down South Congress even know what Lucy in Disguise was?
Mm-hmm.
Who's writing that story? Who's telling that story?
Yeah.
You know? So that's a function of ONO, is like displacement is real, but it takes educating people on what was here and why it was impactful, and in order to inspire the next evolution of it, right? But you know, my problem right now is that like the deeper and deeper that I dig in this cultural development like wave, is it's actually a lot more Texans and local people than you think.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's these real estate groups and these developers, and they are turning every block of this city into a portfolio.
Yeah.
And it's shallow, and the experiences are very surface level. It's all aesthetically based. I've been calling it cultural bastardization, where they're literally ripping off the things that the creatives and the artists and I myself have written and put out there, and I'll see my words appear in, you know, other marketing campaigns coming from these real estate groups and developers. And there's more to come in the next year on this story.
Yeah.
That's all I can say right now.
Yeah.
But I will say that I've been, you know, trying to find the words for this, this idea of like aesthetically based living and aesthetically based experiences. I love a good aesthetic, right? I'm not gonna complain about some good lighting and this, you know, like I love a good aesthetic, but an aesthetic is nothing without soul and genuine hospitality and quality, right? You can make a place look really good in photos and on social media. If the service isn't there and if the quality of the product isn't there, I've been comparing it to going to a restaurant and ordering a glass of water, and they bring you, you know, a glass of ice water, and then you realize that they filled your glass with like pool water.
Yeah.
And it's chlorinated.
Yeah.
And it's been shocked.
Yeah.
And you taste it and you're like, is this fucking pool water?
Mm-hmm.
Did you just serve me pool water? Like, it's so distinct, right?
Yeah.
You look at the glass on the table, it looks like water, but I taste it and it's almost disrespectful.
Yeah.
It's very unhealthy, actually, for me to drink that, right? And then I'm supposed to pay premium price. Like, you literally just served me dirty pool water. That's just kind of like a funny way of looking at it. But dude, the sentiment in it is just like, things look one way, but if you really pay attention to the experience and the quality and the taste, it's too clean. It's too pure. It's not real. There's no soul. It's leaving the consumer high and dry, feeling, I'm sensitive to it. I feel disrespected. I don't want to go out and spend my money around crowds that don't care, with employees that don't care, and with owners and developers that don't even plan on this existing in 6 months. Look at Austin Surf Club. What just happened? Yeah. They came in and they tried to raise an insane amount of money to build this luxury, you know, hospitality meets retreat, meets private members club, meets all this shit, right? And they just tried to see how much money they could raise. They didn't meet their mark, and they just abandoned the project. But you're going to scrape our land first?
Yeah. It's like,
we got one realtor that's pissed about it.
Yeah.
Who else is talking about that, man? You know, and he's not even pissed. He's neutral.
Yeah.
You know, but that, like, and we're seeing it in every aspect of our culture where these opportunists are coming in with these multi-million-dollar, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of $1 million funds. They don't give a shit about our city. They don't care about our land. They don't care about uplifting and providing for the local creative scene or the artistic scene and the people that work their asses off to actually make this city interesting and give it its last ounce of soul. There is such little resources for us, and we as creatives are having to be exactly that.
Yeah.
Very creative, very resourceful in order to survive.
Yep.
And I'm just hoping that as we grow and as we establish ourselves in this city, that once there's a shift and they start to realize how creative and how resourceful we have gotten with what is available here,
Yeah.
these people that have these resources are going to start to realize that we can take those same resources, actually make the concepts dope, actually ensure that the values that are aligned with our culture are represented so it feels natural to this city. It actually lasts, and their ROI is actually met.
Yeah.
And it's not a numbers game. They're not having to buy up every local business and come up with 100 shitty concepts, because the concepts are designed and made to last. I want to build spaces and be a part of projects that I can walk my kids in one day and be like, yeah, I played a small part in this.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm super proud of it.
Mhm.
And me and Cam's photo is on the wall right there.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe yours can be too if you do something
Yeah.
for this city.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I don't have the answers. I don't have the solutions. At this point, all I know is that I'm really passionate about it, and I'm not fucking going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and this is a long game. The solution, the problem, it didn't happen overnight. It's not going to change overnight. We're going to have to be very smart, very strategic, very amicable, but also we got to show our teeth, man. We got to be prepared to like defend and communicate and fight for what we know we're worth. And if creatives and artists don't stop pulling at each other's legs and competing with one another and shit talking each other to ensure that nobody's head comes up a little too far, because we're all trying to eat out of the same palm and the same 20 crumbs, but nobody's saying, hey guys, we're all worth way more than what we're all fighting over.
Mhm.
If we actually had some respect for ourselves and understood our value, we wouldn't be fighting each other at this ground level.
Mhm.
We would actually be having conversations or discussions or fights with the people that are actually putting us down to where it feels this scarce. I'm not saying the scarcity here isn't real. It is. I've lived it, right? I've been homeless several times in the last 5 years. I've chosen this lifestyle, and, you know, the ability to put one foot in front of the other and figure it out. Like, that's all there is. And it's going to make it that much sweeter to come up in this world because of what we know we've sacrificed to do what we do, right? We're willing to put in the work. But I also recognize that in so many of my friends and so many of my peers that also want to compete and talk shit, it's like, I actually still got love for y'all. I still respect the shit out of y'all. Actually, I hope all y'all make it. But I know with these attitudes out here, you're not going to. Right? If you want to compete with me, you already lost. We're looking up, bro. Like, I'm not here to compete. I'm in this state of mind and attitude right now where, like, I realize that the people that are going to help me make it, I don't know yet. And the people that are going to be there in 10 years, they're sitting in this room. They're sitting eye to eye with us right now.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're genuine. I know we could share a steak in 20 years and the stories are going to flow. And we're never going to have doubted for a second whether we were in each other's corners.
Mhm.
I wish everybody could just carry themselves like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I got that Kobe in me. I got that MJ in me. Like, if you want to compete, cool. Like, I'll compete. You know, I'll run a 40 on your ass.
Yeah.
but why?
Yeah.
I'm trying to put all my energy into my art, my work. That's the only thing I feel like deserves my attention, is what I'm creating. And then hopefully that means something one day, you know, like, look at these photos of Willie Nelson and these hotels and these restaurants and these cultural institutions. Go to Broken Spoke and look at their, you know, exhibit and like museum that they've got in there. Do you think everybody that shot those photos was getting paid their hourly rate?
Definitely not. Free work.
Free work. Genuine passion.
Yeah.
That was a dude with a camera that wanted a free Lone Star.
Yeah.
But now he's got space on a wall. You know, that's building culture with a hammer and a nail, and it's actually fulfilling. You're not chasing clout. You're not trying to, you know, ensure that everybody knows how fucking ballin' you are and successful you are. You know, I've been having that conversation with a lot of creatives lately, and martial artists too. You know, I've got a lot of friends that are you know, special forces, SEALs, you know, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxers, fighters, right? Like, I love those guys. Some of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet. And then my craft is creativity, you know, photos, writing, all this stuff, right? So I've been trying to kind of work on this idea of what it means to be like dedicated to your craft and your practice, right?
Mm.
Well, I take a lot of inspiration from fighters. I know guys that roll and do jiu-jitsu every day. They're not getting paid to do it. They're not trying to be pro. They won't shut the fuck up about it. It's all they think about. It's all they want to do. And I admire it because that's how I feel about my creativity. That is my craft. And I'm still exploring mediums, but I know my creativity has to come out in some form, right? So if I want to treat it like a craft or a practice, and I'm willing to show up every day and do it, whether, you know, I'm getting paid for it or not, that's how you become the best. Well, when you're actually the best, the money comes to you, man. They find you. You're not out here having to pitch and convince, and you like, just do your thing, you know? And it's, get a second job, you know? Do labor.
Yeah.
Go work on houses. Go lay sod. Do whatever you got to do, you know? Because if you put your time into your craft and you actually get better and you actually value your work, it's going to speak for itself. It's going to attract the right people. And until then, all you got to do is show up for yourself and work on the thing that you love. And like, how could the universe not reward that? Now, if you're not there yet, you're not there yet. You know?
Yeah, we all got to take those steps, right? Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
was literally talking to Z in the car, and we were just talking about, like, you know, all the things we've learned, all the things you're having to do, all the things we're still learning to just even get to where we're at. Like 7 years ago, when me and Carlos were like, yo, let's start this sports podcast.
Yeah.
Now, 7 years later, it's like, we're at this space now with Opinionated to where we never thought it could even get to. I mean, even last year alone, hosting the watch party with you, like, we never said we couldn't do it, but that was something that we're just like, man, we're here now. And that is a prime example of what you were saying about, you know, people being in competition, not wanting to work with each other, not wanting to help each other out. Because I look at it as like two people that are working hard, dedicated in their craft, even have like different unique things that they're focusing on, came together, and boom, look what happened with like not even a ton of timing, right? Like
Right.
this is the results of that. I definitely feel that as well as far as
well, you know how many reps both you and I
Yeah.
have had in conversations like
oh,
this?
100%.
Right. Hundreds.
100 like if you,
Thousands.
just
Yeah.
I mean even just having conversations in general, like getting the reps, talking to people, the relationship stuff, you kind of know too, like who's genuine immediately, who's not genuine immediately.
Yeah.
You get to that point too with wisdom and age and talking to people where it's like, oh no, this person just like wants to, make a deal with me and shake hands and that's that. And like, hey, there's some people that you're gonna have to come across with that. The opportunity might be great. You might be like, this is what it is. I'm gonna make this money. I'm gonna get out. Right. Like I'm not gonna really be tied to them. There's not gonna really be these attachments. But then there's other people like me and you, first time we meet. Bro, sit down for two hours, bro, just chopping it up. Had a couple beers, some food, like chopped it up, learn more about each other, what we're doing. Talked about
genuine curiosity.
Literally just talked about what we could do, but
you didn't have an angle.
There was no pressure.
Nah.
There was no like, oh, let's do this next week. Like there was no pressure like that. We stayed in touch. Months later, you hit me up. Yo, Cam, I got this idea. Let's do this watch party. Boom.
Yeah.
Then you drop the magazine. I pull up on that, support you, text you on my birthday. Hey, bro, like I'm going to this place you've been posting. Like, don't know what you got going on. You like pulled up on me. Like all that type of stuff. So genuine that I think when it's reciprocated, you want it too. I also don't think if they're competing with, the other people in this space, your friends, peers, whatever. One, I don't know how there's enough time to even think like that, honestly. But two, at the second time, it's like, if you're forward thinking, I use this, like a lot of stuff you're saying, I use it a lot to kind of relate to like the rap game in Austin. We were interviewing a ton of artists when we first started doing the pods and things like that. And kind of the stuff that we kind of realized is there wasn't like a lot of, especially in music, there wasn't like a lot of like working together, especially in the rap game as artists.
Yeah.
And Z can speak on that a lot because he used to rap a lot and would work with a lot of artists and things like that. And I always used to say, man, why is Austin not like Atlanta? Why is it not like these other major cities to where there's a ton of big artists from there that come out? There's not like just one or two. There's like,
bro, it's coming.
30,
yeah.
Right. And like, I think we have that here, but I also think, like you said, like I remember we had talked, like, I feel like there's also seasons of your life to where even if you're from a place, if life's taking you in a certain direction, you might have to go there, even if that's like taking you from Austin for a little bit, coming back and pouring back in. Now it's like, you actually have to do that?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that will like move to New York, move to LA, wherever they move, they stay there, then they just forget like about Austin. I think you have to be able to know the season of like, yo, I might have to go here for a couple of years, but I know like in order to get Austin to where it needs to, I need to be that person. If you become that person that kind of blows up, to come back and like continue to pour back into the city, continue to pour back into everything that's going on. Cause there's a ton of opportunities. Like you're talking about food. I've been to a lot of places. I still think Austin is, and especially in the US, I think we're up there. I think we're easily top 5, top 3 food scene in the US. Like, we have everything. Same thing with like art, culture, events, things like that. I think we're up there as well. And then now you're having this, I was talking to Zia as well about this in the car. Now you're having this end fluctuation of additional money, income, capital, all these people that have this type of money, these type of, ideas, ideologies, they're moving here. But, and I do genuinely think there is people here who actually want to like do cool stuff and like invest into the culture, but they either run into people that have these other business ideas and then maybe it doesn't go this way. And then it becomes like, oh, this is a quick sell. This is a quick flip. Like these are business people. Right. So
yeah, there's that.
I really, I really do believe though, like the work that you're doing, the work that, we've been doing, the work that other people are doing, where it's like, yo, you can invest, you can inject this money, you can inject this capital. Like we gotta like put these at the forefront. these mom and pop shops that people don't know about still, these, you know, restaurants people don't know about still, these, you know, organizations, all this stuff. Like that stuff needs to be talked about and highlighted, because at the end of the day, I just saw the last piece on Rainy Street, that IHOP that had been on that corner just finally sold. And I'm just like, man, I know whatever complex that goes up there, I like never go down really to Rainy anymore, but just 3-4 years ago, like seeing where it's at now, and I'm just like, one, you can't even see nothing. Like there's just complexes everywhere. Like you're not, there's no view.
No.
But also like, it's just crazy. Like I just remember 4 years ago, like going down there on Saturdays, you know, Sunday fun day, like just day drinking, like going to those houses and stuff like that. I'm just like, man, this used to be like a national talking point. Like people would literally fly to Austin to go to Rainy Street for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like just to see it, just
Yeah.
to go. Like this was like the modern, like the new 6th Street essentially. Right. But it's crazy to see just like in a time span of less than 5 years, how much it's changed. And, it's just like, even if you're trying to promote that, like Rainy, it's not the same.
No,
Like,
I mean, yeah.
And I know, like, like,
I don't want to talk about
too much
Rainy specifically.
Yeah.
And to me, at this point, culturally, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's not what it appears to be.
100%.
And there's no marketing campaign or development group that can change my mind with a slogan.
Yeah.
Especially our slogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I will say that the biggest issue right now in Austin is resources. It's a game of resources.
Yeah.
And the problem right now is that we have a lot of money coming to Austin, more than ever, right? And it's mostly real estate, tech, finance,
yeah,
right? Well, those are much more traditional industries and verticals, right? Than entertainment, hospitality, art, right? Those are the things that have made this city what it is. So yes, they deserve to be involved in the same conversation. If we're talking real estate, we should be talking art, entertainment. The city actually does a relatively good job of how they're handling permitting and, you know, grants and all the, you know, hotel tax, all those sorts of opportunities. I don't have anything to say about the city specifically as far as what they're doing. Where the issue is within private equity, or people that are just opportunists trying to come here and build. And I would say if they were better informed, if they worked with the locals, if they actually brought in local creatives to help create content or production or strategy, consulting, like if you put money in our pockets, I will ensure that your project is more successful than it would be if you come in here blind and try to do anything. Yeah. Like we're like that. Yeah. We know the landscape. Yeah. The issue is that we have a lot of people that are moving here for the housing market, and they're buying beautiful homes and they're moving their families out here and they're happy and they're just living in the hills. They're just living in their own little world, right? Yeah. They're actually not coming down and interacting with our restaurants, with our bars, with our clubs, with our art. Why would they? Especially if the attitude in the scene is a bunch of shit talking and nobody's providing really quality experiences. Yeah. Imagine being somebody that's made it in life and going out and then realizing that you're just surrounded by gossip. Yeah. And people just being like, oh yeah, he ain't shit. And it's like, anybody could be anybody, bro. Here, like this city, that's what made it special, is you could be anything. Nobody really gives a fuck. Nobody's really gatekeeping like LA. If you want to tell me you make movies, I'm not like, oh, cool. Like, what movie have you been? What film fest did you win? You know, like, no, it's just like sick, dude. Cool, man. Like, hope to check that out maybe one day. I guess. What's it called? Like, I'll check it out. Like, maybe, or we could just hang and have a good time. Like, our city is just, it's easy, man. Yeah. And then, you know, like, But I think that's the issue, right? And until one, like you use Atlanta, I think Atlanta is a great opportunity. Like New York is massive, dude. LA is massive. Like Austin is still small. It's still like impressionable.
Yeah.
You know, like we can make a difference here culturally. There's not that much competition. There's not many people that are actually hitting the mark. The difference and the authentic way of doing things is going to speak for itself, and there will be a turning point where people realize the value in that and realize that they can't do it with social media trends and aesthetics, and they can't just buy a font pack, and they've got to hire real designers.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. AI is just making that more apparent than ever.
Yeah.
Like I saw somebody comment the other day, like, nothing says private equity like the word bold in your copy. You know, check out our bold new restaurant concept coming to the line.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, dude, that looks like everything else within half a mile.
Yeah.
They got the same intern, the same social media intern, buying a branding pack, building a grid. Not, you know, like it's just not. We're not being fooled, and there's no demand. What audience are we catering towards?
Yeah, it's not organic. Like there's nothing that's being like actually built up. You can follow. Like that's like something that I love is like if you're a business owner, if you're a brand, if you're doing something cool, that you're like making organic content, you're providing value. You're also like showing the behind the scenes. You're showing the losses. You're showing the wins. Like you're actually documenting that stuff. Like, I think like right there, like that's going to resonate with someone. That's going to get someone to check it out. Like if a restaurant's doing that, great. Yeah. I want to see like the ground break. I want to see, you know, like y'all trying food, y'all designing the menu, all this stuff. Like, like if I just see something pop up in my face and I've never heard of the chef, I've never heard of like, if this restaurant's not in like any other major city, it just pops up. Cool. I might try it out. I'm a foodie. I like trying stuff out, but also I might just be like, what is calling me to go try that? Maybe I see some kind of trend or video on TikTok where I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll check it out. But I want like, and I feel like that's where a lot of like, not even just restaurants, but just businesses miss their mark is because nowadays, like, yes, social media, you got to use in a sense as marketing, as this digital tool, as this XYZ, but there's other ways to do it as opposed to just automating everything and like actually putting some sweat equity and being like, no, like, let's get my hands dirty. I might be the owner. So what? I'm going to get on camera for 15 minutes today and like talk about what we're doing, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
it's interesting.
100%, bro. Like, yeah, I agree. And that we see that from the creative lens. We see that from the brand building lens. We see it from content. You know, we've got an eye for it. Yeah. Right. Unfortunately, that's not most people. No. You know, they haven't like refined their eye, which means that they're going to like these best of lists or influencer content. Yeah. Because it's available, right? Like shit, man, like I'm a nurse and I work 10 hours and then I get off and my friends want to go out. And I saved a video last week of somebody telling me that this is the best new restaurant in Austin. Yeah. I don't have time to go Google. I don't have time to like go drive streets and crane my head around every corner and be like, oh, that's new. Yeah. Cool. Like who's behind that? Who's designing? What hospitality company is that? Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that owner. Yeah. You know, like most people aren't operating on that. That's our responsibility. Yeah, that's what we do because we're actually trying to steward stuff it's worth a shit, you know? And that takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of networking. It takes a lot of handshakes. Anybody that's visiting Austin, I will tell them to go to Emmer Hospitality Concept with Tavel and Kevin Fink and all of them. I'm talking Ezo, Hestia, Emmer and Rye, Kanji, Kalimoto, every concept. Drive to San Antonio, go to Pullman Market. You know, like all these concepts, I will recommend 11 out of 10 times because I know they are good people. And it has taken 4 years of interactions for me to know that they will back that up from top to bottom. And because the ownership and the hospitality company is good people, they treat their employees right. I've never seen a disgruntled employee. I've never had a bad experience. And whether I'm there or not, I know I could send somebody through their doors, and I know that they will have like a 9 out of 10 experience, because that's the standard. Right. And I can't say the same thing about every hospitality company in Austin. With that, I think Austin, it deserves for locals to step up and build a local scene for sure. That would be amazing. Do we have enough locals to like get Austin to where it needs to be? You think, like, as far as a globally influential city that it's becoming?
Yeah.
And it already is. Like, think about Formula One, think about, South by, whether you love it or hate it, it's a 30-year-old organization. You're going to see some change.
Yeah.
Right.
ACL,
all that. With that said, what's made Austin the place that it is culturally in the 70s was people realized that this was an expressive, open-minded place where people could come, they could express themselves, and people were genuine and they had good values. And so more people from surrounding, smaller towns and cities in Texas and the South started flooding here and building and creating. And then that attracted touring musicians and blues artists and rock and roll bands and country western, and it became a melting pot. Well, people want to talk about how Austin has changed. It's still a melting pot, but it's trending towards what's bringing in money, right? And they have people advocating for those things, right? There's a huge car community. There's a huge racing community. It's very positive. It's very welcoming. It's, they're not like, it's not Camrys and like rice burners.
No.
Like, these are multi-million-dollar cars.
Yeah.
Some of them, I just went to a release party with a multi-million-dollar car. And like, think about how that translates into art. Like, what we have a massive affordable art scene. That's what you do. Cool, man. But like, the car scene has shown that there is a demographic of people that can afford art.
Yeah.
And they will fly it in from New York. They will fly it in from LA.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what if we, started networking and getting more artists to New York, getting more artists to LA to get their careers off the ground, and then they come back and we start to elevate this scene over the course of the next 20 years. Is this going to happen overnight? Do we just get to change a price tag from $500 to $20,000 because we said so? No. It takes time. And I don't know what the answer is, but I know that like we have, as artists and creatives, we also have to approach our craft on a more globally minded scale and consider ourselves a globally impactful scene and creative scene, and at least aspire to try to catch up. Because creatively, as far as the industry is concerned, we are 10 years behind everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that the hard way.
Yeah.
You don't think I'm going into pitches in New York and LA thinking I'm on some innovative shit out here in Austin? And they're like, dude, we had that discussion 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You think that's what I want to hear? No, I'm just working with what I got. Like I just see the city, I see the opportunity, I'm putting things together. But that goes for anyone, no matter what you do. If you want to be the best, if you want to be valued, if you want to, like really take something over, you got to put the work in, and you got to like at least expose yourself to other markets. Like if you do Muay Thai in Oak Hill and then you go train in Thailand, there's gonna be a difference.
Yeah.
So if you call yourself a creative, but you want to be a big fish in a small pond and never leave and develop a giant ego, but not put yourself around some sharks in some other cities, you ain't all that and you know it.
Yeah.
Right. So, you might consider yourself a bad man until you get in the cage with Conor McGregor and you get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right. You know how many times I've been knocked out in the creative industry?
Man.
Too many. Right?
Yeah.
I got CTE out here. I got CTE, but guess what? We're still on our feet and we know that people are watching. We're just getting started. And I hope to be a better example for whoever's next. Like, who are the 20-year-old, 21-year-old kids graduating UT right now, or like, who knows who's watching? Who knows what they're going to do? How can we set them up? How can we be the mentors? How can we be the leaders? Because we're going to get to the bag. We're going to get the resources. It's a matter of time. And what I tell my team and my friends all the time is, and I heard this, I can't place it, I wish I could quote it. I saw somewhere someone said, when you get money, when you get resources, all it does is make you 10 times the person that you were before you had it.
Yep. Money makes you more of who you are.
10 times the person you were before you had it. You better start working on that now, right? And I think God, the universe, do you think he's really going to reward you with everything you want before you can actually steward and carry it? No. I've produced probably like 250 events in Austin at this point. I would say I've probably bought out a venue twice. I think they were both like Friday night events where I couldn't come up with some strategy or content or exchange or willingness to consult or work on something to where I could get a venue comped free. And I broke even or lost money on the majority of those events.
Yeah.
For 4 years, 5 years. That's the reality. So let's say it's $1,000 a night to buy out a venue, right? Well, if I spend $1,000 a night on 250 events throughout my 5 to 6 year career now, that's $250,000 in venue rentals alone. If you would have given me $250,000 5 years ago and said, hey, I want you to start producing events, build a creative agency, build culture, I would have $0. And I'd be in a lot of trouble probably. Way more trouble than I'm in already. But do you think if you would have offered me $250,000 5 years ago, you think I would have taken it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
100%.
Hell yeah. Would I have known what to do with it? No. If you gave me $250,000 right now, I know there's a listener out there that wants to give me $250,000.
Yeah.
I could change 1,000 lives.
100%.
Minimum.
Yeah.
With $250,000, I could change 1,000 lives. And I mean like shift 1,000 lives. Like make people feel valued, make people feel seen, make people feel inspired, make people willing to cross this divide and create and share and put their ideas out there. $250,000, bro. And I'm just one guy. I know 15 other motherfuckers that if you gave them $250,000 too could also change 1,000 lives.
Yeah.
So there is a small demographic of people in Austin that can create real change We're teetering on the edge of having the resources that we need to do so. And it's a matter of time, you know? The scene is going to come up if we speak to it and actually mean what we say and we back it up. We need real accountability in our city with ourselves, personally, with each other. Grown-ass men shouldn't be afraid to take some criticism and to be called out. I learned that early in the military.
Yeah.
I was 19 years old when I went into SEAL training. I didn't make it through. I quit Tuesday of Hell Week with a paralyzed left leg. Like, you can't make that shit up of what that feels like, right? But that wasn't the hardest thing that I had to learn in training. Like, it just came to an end. It was just over. Like, I just couldn't go any further. Probably the hardest lesson that I learned at 19 was when your teammate tells you you're fucked up, you probably are.
Yeah.
And I was a kid, bro.
Yeah.
That meant that I was fucking up a lot compared to these like 25, 29, 34-year-old men in my class, where you're around the top alphas from every small town across America. And some of them are fucking Olympians and ex-Wall Street finance guys and have Harvard degrees and crazy shit, right? I was a small town kid that decided not to go to college. You think if one of those guys looked at me and was like, yo, you're fucking up, you need to fix it, that I was going to be like, oh, well, you.
Yeah.
Hell no. They would have kicked my ass out of that shit faster. I quit on my own terms. I broke my own body.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that shit. Nobody can take that away from me, right? But the most important thing that I learned in that process was that sometimes you have to take a hard look at yourself and hold yourself accountable and allow other people to hold you accountable. If I'm ever fucking up, Cam, I want you to sit me down and be like, yo, what the fuck, dude? This could be in 10 years. You're like, yo, you're wandering a little bit. Bring it back down to earth. That's a conversation I want to have. But do you know how many relationships I've lost in the last 4 years?
Man, oh my God.
Of men that are not willing to even have a hard conversation.
Yeah.
They are so deathly afraid of confrontation that they would rather abandon a solid relationship than look another man in the eye and even insinuate that they may have fucked up, even if the other party is just as responsible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by accountability, right? And until we get that shit straight, the vibe here in Austin, it's just eating itself, bro.
Yeah.
If there's any reason I want to leave Austin, it's because of that. You go to Chicago, you go to New York, go to Atlanta, you go to Houston, you go to Dallas.
Yeah.
And you talk some shit on somebody and you start spreading word around town on their name. You might clock out.
Yeah.
And nothing happens here. People just talk, bro. Just talk.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say we need more violence. I don't. I'm a peaceful guy. I want to be. That doesn't mean I'm not capable.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we need accountability. And if you speak some shit, you say some shit, there are consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that you can't back it up if you're willing to like stand on it and go have a hard conversation with somebody. And until that day, anybody can say whatever they want about me. I don't give a fuck because I'm willing to sit down and have that conversation with you any day of the week. And I will say that to anybody's face in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And I walk in spots in Austin, whole lot of smiles.
Yeah.
Whole lot of fake shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Whole lot of dudes leaving early. You know? They're finding another exit.
Yeah.
And I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm not there trying to beef.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want that shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know if you wanted to go there today, but like,
I
feel like it just needs to be said,
it does
man,
need to be
because
said.
it's just, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I'm not out here trying to have a problem with anyone. Like I said, like that doesn't do anything for my job. That doesn't do anything for my career. That doesn't do anything for my art. And like, if you want a problem, cool, we can handle it, you know, but if it's not with me, it's going to be with someone else. And time will tell in the end that, oh shit, you're just out here finding problems with everybody that you feel like is competitive, or you're just insecure.
That's what it is right there.
And like, I'm not saying I haven't been insecure at times, bro, but I'm willing to look at it, and I hope I'm gonna grow out of it in some instances, you know. And I feel like I have. I feel pretty fucking solid sitting where I am right now, you know. So yeah, man. I mean, I could go all day on that shit, but no, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think there's a really just important conversation forming around what it means to be a professional. You know, I take a lot of inspiration from professional athletes. You know, there's some star players that can't play on teams with other star players. You know, and then there's dream teams sometimes. But does that mean that they can't sit and do an interview, you know, 5, 10, 20 years down the road and speak highly of somebody that they used to compete against? No. Because they're actually solid. They're actually proud of what they did. You know, so if you're holding a grudge 20 years later because somebody used to talk shit to you at a pregame during a warm up and y'all got in each other's face at half court, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
You're a bitch. Yeah. And everybody's gonna be thinking that when they're watching that documentary.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
But if someone's able to go like, you know what, now I'm 60 and looking back, you know, I think I got a little too wrapped up in the competition, but he's a solid dude and I respect what he's done. Doesn't that just feel better? So like, there's enough inspiration. There's enough out here to take from and realize that like, we've got work to do. We've got growing to do. We've got some problems to solve. Our city needs to back the people up that actually deserve it. And until then, we're gonna lose a lot more people. A lot more people are gonna leave, bro. Volume 2 is coming out of the magazine. We're doing a huge discussion on affordability and artist displacement and cultural displacement. What was impactful that's now forgotten? Why are people leaving? If they left, if they went to a bigger city, how did that go? Why are you coming back? Right? Like there's a lot of people in Austin want to say, oh yeah, artists can't afford to live here. Well, that covers about 1% of the conversation, right? I'm thinking about doing t-shirts that say still here. And then on the back, it says somehow, you know, but I think, you know, there's at least 20 other takes on that conversation, and Ono Magazine Volume 2 is going to break a lot of that down. We're going to really focus on that narrative of, well, you know, if we're still here and we want to remain here, okay, well, what do we need to make happen? If anybody's making it work, how are they doing so? What is that resourcefulness? What is that adaptability? How can we advocate and build together, you know, in a way that actually lifts up our community? And I welcome anyone from anywhere that wants to come here and do that. If you are an elite hospitality company in New York City and you have the best service in the world and you want to build a restaurant here and you want to treat people right and they can actually take a load off and have a good time and be treated well and not be moved like cattle. Superstition didn't make it for a reason, right? Because they just didn't respect the customer and they didn't respect their employees. Look how that came out. See Tribeza writing about that?
Yeah.
No. There's no critics anymore. There's no confrontation in PR.
Yeah.
There's nobody saying something didn't
You
hit the
forget
mark.
about all that stuff. Like it's already overblown. Like
Everyth-
people like
Everything's the best.
Yeah.
Everything's the best. And it's the top 10 people that have the money to pay for that.
Yeah. No
You
doubt.
know? So, yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you, man.
Bro.
Thank you. Like,
yeah, for real.
Yeah, that was
Same. That was good. It was good to hear that. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of the stuff you said, like you obviously express, but like getting it off, you know, on your own terms, like being able to speak. And also just like, you know, I appreciate too, like the relationship that we've built, being able to share, you know, those type of thoughts. And
dude, it's like I'm healing. I'm healing in real time because you had the awareness to set this up and trust me to say something. And like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, like this is an archive,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I want to watch this back. I posted that video of that podcast I did 7 years ago.
Yeah.
With my boy Chris in Virginia Beach, and he's an ex SEAL Team 6 development group guy. And we caught up on a call last week and reflected on a podcast that we did 7 years ago.
Wow.
And both on the call, we were like, wow, like we're really still out here having the same conversation. And you commented on it. You were like, yeah, we've really been out here doing this.
Yeah.
And we have.
Yeah.
And this to me is another version of that. Like I hope in another 7 years I can watch this back.
Yeah.
And admire where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
Because I cried when I watched that podcast from 7 years ago. And those were just like very basic ideas and thoughts that I was learning how to express. And now we're trying to learn how to refine them and communicate them in a way that lands. But I teared up and cried when I saw that because one, I realized that these are values and conversations that are deeply ingrained in who I am. Otherwise I wouldn't still be having them. And I saw a kid with so much shit ahead of him that he had no idea was coming. And, you know, I just like, I was proud of shit. I was 23, you know? And I was about to go on 5 deployments in the South China Sea on a carrier and then transition and get out and think coaching was it. And then realize it wasn't and experience burnout and then have to figure out what my nervous system was and then lose so many friends, so many relationships, continuously work on myself, fail some more, launch several brands, finally start to get a taste of who I am, fall in love with that, dedicate myself to my craft, and realize that I have hardly scratched the surface and I have no fucking clue what's waiting for me in another 7 years.
No idea.
Whoa.
No idea.
You know, but that's what we get by sitting down and documenting and having something back to look at and reference and realize, whoa, like, and there was some shit back then. I had a better journaling practice when I did that initial podcast than I do right now. I'm like, damn, I really don't journal that like that no more. You know, and I was talking about it, my routine and my morning routine, everything was dialed in this podcast. I was like, fuck, I don't do any of that shit. Like 23-year-old me was fucking dialed, bro. But I also was in the military. Like I had a ton of structure.
Yeah.
You know, I'd get up at 3:30 to go to the gym. You know, I ain't doing that shit now.
Yeah. No, for real. That's how it was when I was playing, bro. Getting up at 4:30, lifting at 5. Like, still try to do it now to try to get everything I got to get done in my day, but man, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's life sometimes. And then you're called to other things. Like, you know, you got to kind of go with what's taking you there. It's like you're in this season, you know, got to go hard, got to experience it, but also too, like having these conversations, having these reflections. I mean, I just remember the first time, like I use Z, for example, first time I met Z, like completely different from where he is now. And that was, you know, 4 years ago. Right. And then same thing with me in the pod, like been out here really 7 years, like you, man, just doing the work, putting the work in, learning from stuff, having hard conversations, you know, things not going your way, people lying on your name, talking, all that stuff. Like it just makes you who you are. And like, it's all part of the journey. Like if it was easy, everyone would do that. And I always say that.
But that's why I fuck with you.
Yeah.
And that's why I just met Z.
Yeah.
And I can already tell that like, he's real, you know? And like, yeah, you make enough mistakes. Like I always say, like make mistakes, bro. Because then you actually get a feeling of what wrong feels like. And that you may not know what right feels like, you know? You may not know what true love feels like, but you might know and listen to your intuition when that, you know, beacon goes off and it's like, hey man, remember this shit didn't go too good last time.
Yeah.
You know, like I know what wrong feels like in so many cases of my life. And I think that's why I'm like able to trend more towards like a balanced lifestyle is like, yeah, I'm figuring out that like shooting photos and like the ability to use a magnifying glass and look at my work is like connecting me to my work more than it was like editing digitally or like using Canva.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, cool. Like more of this, less of that.
Yeah. Well, you were talking earlier about, you know, the younger generation kind of finding out what their path is, what their lane is, you know, maybe watching people like us kind of establish what we're doing and doing what we're doing. But what advice would you give to like the younger generation, you know, 17 years old, 18, 19, 21, that maybe haven't started this, but they want to start something and kind of get into this? Because I wanted to ask that. Basically ZD brought it off camera, but he started a lot younger than I did. And I always tell him that. I'm like, look, I started right out of college, like 23, 24 years old. Like you're starting this way younger than me.
Yeah, so, good for you, man.
Yeah, that's what I tell him. I'm like, bro, like, because I was like, man, like, you know, I'm like, bro, trust me, you're so far ahead than us. It's all right. Like at the time. But what advice would you give for people like that?
Dude, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that I can like tie a bow on it. Like now, like I'm about to turn 31 and I can just be like, yeah, like do this, this, and this. And I would say those for, you know, male, female, anyone out there that wants to do anything, dream big, think of the biggest, baddest, most insane version of life that you want to live. Figure out why. Why does that appeal to you? Educate yourself, read books, study, look at people that have done things similar to that and understand what comes with that. I was playing pool with a friend the other day, and he's a musician and he's touring and he's on the road, and I haven't seen him in a while. And we've had our ins and outs, and there's, you know, there's times where I feel like we get along, there's times where we don't. And, you know, we just let each other float, but we can always come back together and have a beer. And we were playing pool with his tour manager, who's also a younger guy, and he's also a veteran. And he was asking me a bunch of questions, and he was like, man, I just like want to be somebody. And I was about to shoot pool, and I looked up at him and I said, man, anybody can be somebody. It's just whether you're willing to put up with the shit that comes with it. If you think you're somebody or you want to be somebody, there's gonna be some shit that comes with that. And so I would say study that. Learn how to handle the shadow. Learn how to handle other people. Communicate. Journal. Figure out your thoughts. All the best speakers I know are all prolific journal practitioners, you know, like they refine and practice and know what they're going to say, do that shit. And then realize that you're going to fuck up. You're going to make a lot of mistakes and go back to like, yeah, figure out what wrong feels like. It's going to help you that much more. Start to dial in what right feels like. And don't be afraid to swallow a pill every once in a while and admit that you've gotten off your path. Because you have to close your eyes and feel into it sometimes. And your intuition is your strongest guide. There will be times where you get off your path, and life will, like, if you were really destined for some shit, life will reset you. It will sling your ass back to your path abruptly, harshly. If you wander, you make some decisions and you get off, ultimately you might make your way back. That could be shit, man. It could be a lot of things. It could be failed relationships. It could be divorce. It could be, so many things. But if you got to swallow your pride and realize that you're off your path and put in some work to get back to who you are and your true nature, don't be afraid to admit that you got off.
Yeah.
And you will save yourself so much time. Now at 31, SEAL training wasn't what I was destined to do. I thought it was. And I think I was destined to go to training, and I think I was destined to injure myself, and I think I was destined to fail. And I think I was destined to learn about what failure was multiple times. I don't think I was really off my path, but it was trying to lead me to another path that was more aligned with who I was, right? Now at 31, I try to check in daily and be like, okay, do I feel like I'm aligned with what I'm supposed to do? If I can do that every 5 minutes, that's even better. If it's been 6 months since I've checked in and I don't feel good, I went off somewhere.
Yeah.
And I got to put in some work to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And that I would say it's going to happen, but the less pride you can have about it and the less you can care what other people think about you getting off, because people, they're focused on their own shit. Nobody actually cares as much as you do as long as you make your way back. If you get off your path and you're way off and you refuse to admit it, hopefully somebody around you cares.
Yeah.
Because then they can help steer you back. And that's going to be less people than you think. And also, get a therapist.
Yeah, I agree. Therapy for men is huge. If you have resources like.
And I go in and out.
Yeah,
I don't go to therapy now. I should. But I think the biggest thing that I misunderstood about therapy was you might have good friends, you might have good family, you might have really close people that you can talk to. I think having somebody in your life that you can talk to that's not actually directly involved in your life is even healthier than opening up to anyone you know. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of good about being vulnerable, but you also open yourself up to a lot of manipulation in life. And I think there's nothing that hurts more than when you fuck with people and you care about people and they manipulate you.
Yeah.
And I would say therapy and getting an outside perspective of somebody that
has no
lives
idea.
in another city, isn't emotionally invested in you, can give you feedback on your relationships and your path and what you're trying to figure out in this fucking cosmic soup of a experience.
Yeah.
Therapist.
Completely agree with everything you said, bro. And once again, I want to just thank you for allowing us the time today. I know you're busy as well, and just letting us, share space with you, break bread, catch up, actually have one of these. This is, something that I wanted to do when I first met you, but I also like that our relationship marinated over time and we were able to see kind of what each other are doing, what each other is building. I think this is perfect timing for this episode to finally get recorded and shot, kind of going into this transition after the first magazine, kind of what you guys have been doing the last year or so. And, even for me, I've been doing a lot of these interview series, kind of just me now. It used to be sometimes me and Carlos will still, interview people, but together. But I think a lot of the times when I've established a lot of these relationships that I like the conversation, when I know the person, more on a more personal level. So, yeah, man, I'm super excited, for everything you got going on. Super excited to just I still haven't even been able to digest all of volume 1 because I actually want to digest each page, each story and not just kind of scan through it.
That's what it's all about, man.
So I'm excited for volume 2 because I know it's going to do the same thing. I know it's going to touch on certain points, something else too that you started that we didn't discuss was you've been doing a Write Club as well. So I think that's really cool. Just like that's one of those things that is foundational to where you're actually giving back to the community in a real way and providing value and something that's relatable to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So I think like having something like that accessible for people to do is also amazing, and showing that you genuinely care about the work, the art that's being provided in this journalism field, this art field as well. But yeah, man, I'm super excited. Any way we can help you out, you already know, phone call away. I want to start working with you guys more in general, just because we're aligned, got a lot of similar interests, have different skill sets. Like it's all about, finding the right team members and the people that actually want to eat together, not just, compete or whatever the case may be. So
100%, man.
Yeah, bro. Thank you again. I'm super excited to get this posted, to get this put out to the world. I feel like I love doing these episodes because it's always like two birds in one stone. Like I get content, you get content, the brands get content. So anything, that you need from me, let me know. Send you everything. If you want to chop it up, make it your own style, whatever. So
yeah, bro.
Yeah.
No, I share the same sentiments. So yeah, we're on our way, man. And I look forward to seeing everything y'all create and we can do together. And yeah, these relationships are rare, and I definitely value you guys and all the support that you've given us so far. And yeah, we're just getting started. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. If you guys are new, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow Anno Agency on Instagram, follow Opinionated Media on Instagram. You can find Evan Duvall's personal on Instagram, Cam_Juice, my personal on Instagram, and then ZD and A-Town down behind the scenes working the cameras for us today. So make sure you guys tap in with all the socials. But until next time, it's your boy Cam from Opinionated. I'll see you guys later. Peace.